So here we go. Someone's going to help me out here, and it did that. Here we go. So
oh, now it's going viral.
now we know what I'm all about. I can't talk doo-doo. Okay, so we start out with a pattern, and whatever pattern we have, if we're going to be cutting out in foil or lead, which is a big difference, you have to cut out a seam line in between so you have room for either your lead shears or your foil. So this is a little bit of a gap that's left so the lead or the foil can go in between. So after I've cut these pieces out with the proper scissors, we're left with pieces that go on our glass, numbered, arrowed, all that. So anyway, what we're getting down to is what are the properties and what do you have to know before you cut glass? One, shiny side up. The shiny smooth side is always up when you're cutting glass because it's easier to cut. Always protect your hands and always cut inside curves first. This is inside curve, it gets cut first because if I screw up and I cut the inside curve and it doesn't break right where I want it to, it gives me an opportunity to move it to another place so at least I can save what I can save. A good cutter makes all the difference in the world. I'm going to cut the inside curve first, doing it in a couple of notches using my breaking pliers to pull it apart and making sure that I grab that towel for me, please.
She does it the way I do. She pulls it apart. She doesn't.
Yeah, I don't always break down. Some glass breaks down, some glass breaks out. When you're working with a glass that has a little bit more density to it, which means it has more white in it, sometimes it's easier to pull it than it is to break it. Be careful where you pull it. Now that I got my inside curve out, now I can attack the rest of the piece. So now I can just break it apart. And remember, glass with a lot of white in it is denser. It's a little bit harder to work with. So all that means is you got to put a little more shoulder into it. Not wrist, shoulder. Shoulder, shoulder, shoulder. So don't try to cut glass sitting down. You're fighting all the time. So now there's one cut piece of glass ready to go. If you need to grind it, you grind it. This one pretty much is right on line, so we're ready to roll with that one. Small ones, I don't have any inside curves. I'm just going to attack it whichever way I feel is going to be easier to still be able to hold it. And I'm going to keep on rolling. Inside curves, always your first. Then just kind of figure out where it's going to be the best way to get it. When I'm holding the grozers, I always want the flat side up, not this side. Because this is for like nibbling. This is for breaking. So just keep on scoring. Of course, I'm using a good tungsten tipped oiled cutter. Never cut, never score with a dry cutter. It ruins your cutter, makes you spend lots of money. And I'd rather spend my money on glass than on tools. So that's where I go with it. Put your money into the glass. And there's number 2. That's out. Now, we want to get to a tough one. This is all being laid out for this big window I'm doing for a customer. Make sure your glass tabletop is clean, clean, clean. Move this out of the way. Now I got this baby to do. I'm going to choose which ones I want to start with because I don't want to see. This is a tough one and I can do it, but I may not be able to pull it off on camera. So, inside curves are here. All these are inside curves. So these are the most tight. These are the tighter inside curves. So I'll hit those first. This is a little bit less curved, so I'll do that last. Besides, if I screw up on this side, I can still pick up this pattern and move it this way. I have room to move. If I screw up on this side, I don't have much room to take it this way to fix where I left off. Boo-booed. And it's clear glass, cathedral, so it is going to be a little bit easier to cut. This isn't high-end. This is Wismach. It is a good glass to work with. So I'm going to take off a lot of the extra oomph on here. I hit a hole. Okay, I'm going to relieve some of the outer glass here just to make it easier. Sure. Sure, you're going to break just like I want to. There we go.
At least I'm not the only one who has that problem.
Yeah, if you're having a hard time hitting it from one side, grab it on the other side, because a lot of times maybe you put a little more pressure on the end of the score, and that's going to make it easier to break off. So you just have to kind of play with it. So now I'm going to pick up this inside curve, hit that one up. Always try to get as tight as you can because less work to take it off here than it is to have to try and work it on the grinder. Always make sure you're working with a good surface. Don't put your hand down on the top of the glass and try and hold the glass in place. It's not running away. So the minimal pressure you put on the glass, the easier, less chance you're going to have of busting it out. So just remember, it's not going anywhere, except maybe in your finger, which we don't want. I pick my battles, and if I'm that little bit of a tight here, I will run it on a 1/4 inch grinder head when it's that tiny, because I have a lot more to get out of this, and I don't have any more of this glass. This is all I got. So there's that one, and I can feel I need to clean.
Is there a certain way to hold that knife or cutter? Or...
You see I got my finger on the edge of the glass head itself, the cutter head itself. That keeps it from wobbling because it is spring-loaded and it does wobble. Some people will mentally get that in their head and it'll mess them all up. So if you just hold it, that keeps it right where you want it to go. And just the best thing to remember is always use your shoulder.
Is there an angle that you should
straight
do?
Up. Why? Because there's an angle on this head, okay? So yeah, you can get like this, but here's the problem. If you're like this, how much is that cutter head really hitting on it? If you're up here like this, the cutter is getting a straight, and if you're like this, you're going to get, the glass is going to kind of cut that way, and it's not going to be where you want. Score. I use the wrong word sometimes. But the straighter upper it is, the easier and the better score you're
Straighter
get.
upper. Don't
you love my vocabulary?
I love
I'm
it.
an educated person.
It's understandable.
Descriptive. So anyway, here we go. One last on this side. And yes, I hold my breath a lot. But that's okay. Now, when I come around to this side and I'm busting out this side of the glass, I am going to be holding this right here to try to keep from losing that tip. So it's physics. If you've got more coming off this side, this has got to have some strength and support on that side. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take as much off of this as I can without hurting that spot. And yeah, I could do this all in one, but because I have so much weight over here, I'd rather just get halfway close without really wasting a whole lot of glass and break that out. And move this over, okay? I haven't lost it yet. I always worry about it because they're so long and they're so fragile. Oh, I did lose it. But you know what? I can redesign that one. I'm going to keep on rolling just to get this out. Yeah, it was the way I was holding it. So let me show you on here how I need to hold this tip. I'll just redesign the piece for that. That's not a problem. This is just water for my ocean, and it won't be hard to do. So I want to put my finger right here underneath this piece so that I'm giving it a little bit of support. Hold your breath and pray to God or whoever. Got it. Now
Do you ever tap underneath?
Not when it's that small.
Okay. That's what I was wondering.
Not when it's that small. See, I blew that one. But
you're just gonna,
that happens.
You're just gonna let that. Right?
Life is life. Yeah, I'll redesign around it so that I already had a score line there. I didn't realize it.
Never cut twice.
Never go over the same score line twice. It ruins your cutter head and it doesn't do you any favors. Ever. Okay? God dang it. Okay? We're almost there, man. And then that'll be the end of this unless somebody... I thought I did it. If you pick up this cutter, don't go back over where you started to score it. Just pick up where you left off and continue on. Okay. And that's it. That's all I'm going to show. See if anybody has any questions. Here we go.
So you're just going to put a gap in there and then put lead, right?
No, I'll probably do more than that. I'll probably redesign it and recut it.
Like to make another wave type deal.
Yeah. Okay.
So that I'm looking for that.
Yes, you may want to. Going to depend on your skill.